Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. We've got a good one lined up for you all today. We're going to be taking a look at the history of the Russian Cyrillic alphabet.
Definitely a fascinating one.
Yeah, and we're going to be basing this deep dive on an excerpt that you shared with us from History of the Russian Cyrillic Alphabet, How to Russia. I mean, it's amazing to think that, something we see every day, like these characters actually have this long history behind them.
Yeah, it really is. And you might be surprised to learn that it actually wasn't originally created for the Russian language at all.
Really?
Yeah.
So where did it come from?
Well, its roots are in the 9th century
Wow, okay.
with Saints Cyril and Methodius, who were on a mission to spread Christianity to Slavic peoples. And they realized they needed a way to communicate the religion's ideas in a way that resonated with the people.
So they didn't want to force everyone to learn a new language. They wanted to create like a writing system for them.
Exactly. They wanted to meet people where they were at. Saint Cyril and Methodius ingeniously adapted elements of the Greek and Glagolitic scripts to create something new.
Okay, so now you've got to explain the Glagolitic script, because that sounds like a form of magic to me.
Right.
Yeah.
It does sound like that. It essentially was an earlier writing system, also used for Slavic languages. You can think of it as a precursor to Cyrillic.
Okay.
And it had its merits, but Cyrillic, with its simpler characters, proved much easier to learn and spread.
So kind of like they had a beta version, and then they were like, okay, let's streamline it, make it a little bit more user-friendly.
Exactly. And the Bulgarian Empire's support for Cyrillic was really crucial here. They made it their official script, which helped unify people and solidify its use.
So almost like when a government puts a stamp of approval on a certain technology, and then it's like, okay, well, this is what we're going to use now.
Right.
That's really interesting. Makes you wonder, like, what if the other one had stayed,
It's a great example of how those social and political forces can really shape the destiny of language.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got this new alphabet. It's gaining some traction. Where do we go from here? So we've got this new alphabet, and it's out there, it's spreading. But like I imagine, history doesn't stop there.
Yeah. A couple centuries later, and Peter the Great kind of enters the picture.
Or Peter the Great with vision.
Big plan. Exactly. He wanted to modernize Russia and align it more closely with Western Europe.
Uh-huh.
And that included the alphabet.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so he saw the alphabet as a key part of this modernization project.
Wow.
He believed that for Russia to engage with the West, especially on an intellectual level, they needed a more efficient writing system.
Okay.
Something that was suitable for printing and wider dissemination of, knowledge and ideas.
So another update was needed.
Yeah, so he simplified the alphabet even further. He removed these archaic letters, streamlined others, and this new system, what they called the civil script, was designed for clarity and ease of use in this new age of printing.
Oh, wow. So like even like punctuation, like the commas and the periods and stuff.
Yeah.
That seems like such a small detail.
Yeah, but those little things make a big
It's
difference.
huge. It changes how we read and write.
Exactly. So Peter the Great, he brought those in too because he recognized how important that was for clear written communication.
He was thinking ahead.
Yeah.
He was really trying to bridge that gap between Russia and Western Europe.
Yeah.
And he was using language to do it.
Exactly.
This is fascinating.
Yeah, and it did have an effect on intellectual exchange. I mean, the ability to print and distribute books more readily meant that Russian scholars could access Western European ideas and vice versa.
Right.
But it's important to remember that, cultural change isn't always straightforward.
Of course not.
So yes, it did contribute to bridging that gap, but it's a very complex relationship between Russia and the West, and there's many other factors involved.
It wasn't just about adopting a comma here and there.
Exactly.
It's about opening up those lines of communication.
Right.
So we've gone from, this tool for spreading Christianity to a key part of Peter the Great's vision of a modern Russia.
Right.
But this is like a few centuries of history at this point. I can't imagine it just stops there.
No, not at all. The 20th century brings about its own set of changes.
Okay.
This time it was the Soviet Union and their focus on mass literacy.
Right, because they wanted to bring everyone together under this kind of unified state.
Exactly.
So a common alphabet makes a lot of sense.
It does. It's really essential for communication and education across such a vast area.
Yeah, definitely.
So they simplified a lot of the spelling rules, got rid of a few more outdated letters, and really tried to hone in on making it accessible for everyone.
So it's not even just about the alphabet itself at that point. It's about, like, how you use language.
Exactly, standardizing it.
Wow. Do you have any examples of those spelling reforms?
Yeah, so like one example is they got rid of the hard sign at the end of words.
Okay.
It didn't actually represent a sound anymore. It was just kind of like a relic of the way it used to be pronounced.
Oh, it's like a silent letter.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. And they're like, you know what? Let's just scrap this.
Let's simplify it.
Wow. It's amazing how those little things make such a big difference.
Yeah. And then, of course, came the digital age.
Oh, yeah. How do you get the Cyrillic alphabet on a computer?
Right. It was really crucial that that happened. Imagine if it hadn't, Russian speakers wouldn't be able to communicate online using their native alphabet.
Oh, gosh, that's a good point.
So thankfully, they were able to incorporate Cyrillic into Unicode.
Okay, now I have to admit, I don't actually know what Unicode is.
Yeah, it's kind of a behind-the-scenes thing, but basically it's like a universal code for computers to understand and display different writing systems.
Oh, so that's how all the different characters work.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
so that's how Russian speakers can tweet and email and, do all the things that we do online.
It can exist in this digital space.
Exactly.
Wow, so we've gone from, ancient religious texts to, like, modern-day tweets.
A full spectrum.
It's incredible.
It really speaks to the resilience of language and culture and how we communicate.
And it's constantly changing.
Exactly. It adapts and evolves just like we do.
Well, on that note, I think this has been a really fascinating look at the history of the Cyrillic alphabet.
It really has.
And I think it just goes to show that, something we might take for granted every day actually has this really rich and dynamic history.
You just have to scratch the surface.
Exactly. And we hope you'll join us next time as we take another deep dive into a new topic and uncover even more hidden histories.